85 degrees in the valley today, even warmer tomorrow. We'll update your first alert forecast.
And new information about a handful of high-profile cases in Arizona, including what officials say could have been the downfall in Amanda Nenneger's death investigation. But first,
the state Supreme Court reinstates a Civil War-era law banning nearly all abortions in Arizona. It's the result of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, allowing states to make their own abortion laws. Tonight, the possible legal challenges, the impact on doctors, women, and the election in November.
It is a dark day in Arizona. I refuse to allow extremist county prosecutors to use this abortion ban to lock up women and doctors seeking or providing needed health care.
So today's ruling furthers the legislative policy decision of many years for us to be a pro-life state, to have our laws protect the safety, health and safety of women, as well as the lives of unborn children.
This is outrageous that we would even dignify the consideration of this type of ban. A ban drafted when women had no say, when Arizona was not a state.
What constitutes a medical emergency? I mean, how much risk does there have to be of death?
No woman or doctor will be prosecuted under this law as long as I am Attorney General.
Today was a victory for unborn children, for vulnerable children, and for women.
I am angry. I am angry for myself. I'm angry for my daughter. I'm angry for my granddaughter.
And that is just some of the reaction coming in from across the country tonight over the state Supreme Court ruling to uphold an abortion law written in 1864, long before Arizona was a state.
It will ban all abortions in Arizona unless the mother's life is in danger, and there are no exceptions for rape or incest. This Civil War era law won't take effect for 60 days at least, and if it does, Arizona will become the 15th state to impose a near total abortion ban since Roe v. Wade was struck down. 6 states have a partial ban, 29 have full access to the procedure. We've got team coverage for you tonight. Zach Prelutsky is looking at the impact on the November election. Sarah Robinson is talking to doctors who could face punishment for providing the procedure. But first, Michaela Marshall's here with us in studio with more on the ruling and how state leaders are reacting to it.
Well, we know that it's going to be 60 days from today until this change takes effect, and additional litigation is expected. Many elected leaders expressed concern today that this abortion ban is just the beginning, saying access to IVF and contraceptives are also at risk.
Tuesday's landmark decision to ban nearly all abortions in Arizona sent shockwaves throughout the state.
The decision by the Arizona Supreme Court today is unconscionable and an affront to freedom.
The Arizona Supreme Court ruled in favor of a law that was passed in 1864. Under that law, abortions are only legal if necessary to save the life of the mother. There are no exceptions for rape or incest.
Today's decision to reimpose a law from a time when Arizona wasn't a state, the Civil War was still raging, and women could not vote, will go down in history as a stain on our state.
But Center for Arizona Policy President Kathy Herod calls this a win.
The Arizona Supreme Court today, by a majority vote, did what courts are supposed to do. They interpreted the law. They didn't make law.
In 2022, former Republican Governor Doug Ducey signed an abortion bill which restricts care after 15 weeks of pregnancy. He posted on X today, "The ruling today is not the outcome I would have preferred, and I call on our elected leaders to heed the will of the people and address this issue with a policy that is workable and reflective of our electorate."
I am calling on the legislature to do the right thing right now and repeal this 1864 ban and protect access to reproductive health care.
Attorney General Chris Mays says the fight is not over, and she will do everything in her power to make sure this law is never implemented. Live in studio, Michaela Marshall for Arizona's Family.
Michaela, thank you. The law includes punishments for women and doctors, raising questions about if doctors can still provide the procedure. The governor, Attorney General, Maricopa County Attorney, and others have all said they will not prosecute abortions.
And Sheriff Russ Skinner here in Maricopa County added the MCSO deputies will not be making any arrests under this law either. Still, the law likely to take effect in 45 to 60 days, and at that point, doctors and lawyers seem to agree things become pretty muddy. Sarah Robinson live at the state capitol tonight. Sarah, you talked to doctors today. At this point, are they still planning to practice abortions?
The doctor I spoke with says her and her colleagues will be providing abortions up until that 45 to 60 day mark. But after that 60-day point, they're just not sure right now because they want more answers. Though this administration says they will not enforce that 1864 law and prosecute doctors, could the next election cycle rather change that? That is the big question tonight.
We are not closing. We will provide abortion care for the people of Arizona until they tell us we can't.
Dr. Gabrielle Goodrick has been an Arizona abortion provider at Camelback Family Planning since the 90s.
I don't want to go to jail, and none of my patients want to go to jail.
But the Arizona Supreme Court decision today banning nearly all abortions could change that. The Civil War era law says doctors can be sentenced 2 to 5 years for providing abortions. It's something Arizona State Senator Ava Birch, who has had an abortion, says is harmful.
And now I cannot believe that we are even talking about what we might do to doctors if they care for women in this way.
Republican County Attorney Rachel Mitchell is on the record saying she will not prosecute women for abortions, but she does not specifically mention doctors. Maricopa County Sheriff Russ Skinner says he will not arrest anyone for abortions.
Obviously, that's reassuring, but at the same time, I honestly can't tell you what I would do.
Will women and doctors be prosecuted? Well, that is a really open question.
Phoenix constitutional law expert Robert McWhorter says women and doctors won't be prosecuted right now, but he says that's subject to change.
There's a very real possibility, and you have a 7-year statute of limitations.
McWhorter says crimes in our state can be charged within a 7-year window from when they occur. He says if a Republican AG is elected next cycle, they could decide to charge doctors for providing abortion care retroactively.
7 years is a long time, and in political history, you can have a state totally change in 7 years.
So the big question, can doctors still perform abortions after this law goes into effect?
That would be their choice. Again, it depends on how risk adverse that provider is, whether to do it or not. If they were my client, I would probably advise them not to do this.
So, of course, we will have to see how this all plays out after that 60-day mark. But the doctor I spoke with says her phone has been ringing nonstop today with patients already asking her if they can still get abortions through that 60-day mark. She says they can, and she wants to reiterate that there are providers out there who are still providing abortions right now through that 60-day mark. So we'll have more information about what happens or what could happen after that a little bit later. Guys?
Yeah. Sounds like a logistical nightmare and more stress on top of an already stressful situation.
Yeah, and we've heard from other doctors who are concerned about challenges being filed against their medical licenses as well. So still, as you said, Sarah, many unanswered questions, and a lot could happen over the next 60 days or so. So we'll be following all of it. Sarah Robinson live for us tonight. Thank you. And meanwhile, we are taking a closer look now at the state Supreme Court justices who decided this case. 4 of them ruled in favor of the ban, 2 against it, and 1 abstained from the case.
The 5 men and 2 women on the court were all appointed by Republican governors Doug Ducey and Jan Brewer. 2 of the justices who ruled in favor of the ban, Clint Bolick and Catherine King, are up for retention in November and will appear on the ballot. Zach Prelusky is at the Supreme Court with a look at the possible impact the ruling will have on the election.
As you mentioned, 2 of the 4 judges that voted in favor of the ban will be on the ballot themselves this November. Although political experts say it's pretty rare a judge does not get reinstated. Only 6 times in the last 52 years has that happened. The ruling that they were a part of will most likely have major implications on the general election in 7 months. The Arizona Supreme Court abortion ruling on Tuesday, sending shockwaves through the state.
This is a political earthquake that has never been seen before in Arizona.
Barrett Marson is a GOP political consultant and believes the issue of abortion in Arizona will play a major role in the November general election.
Last week, I would have talked about the economy, inflation, and the border. And I would have said those are the top 2 or 3 issues for Arizona voters. Now, I think abortion is going to take over everything.
Arizona's family spoke with former Governor Jan Brewer by phone, who appointed the 2 justices who voted against the ruling. The former governor says she wasn't surprised with how the Supreme Court voted, but wished there were more exceptions.
So there's a battle coming, a big battle coming.
A group behind an initiative to add abortion rights to the state constitution says they've gathered enough signatures to get it on the November ballot. If that happens, Brewer believes that would make the voter turnout even greater.
It's going to drive people to the polls, and they're going to have to choose, because this is the #1 issue to a lot of people, not only in Arizona, but across the country.
And Marson agrees.
This has the potential to really bring out a lot of first-time voters, those people who are 19, 20, who haven't been of age in previous elections, but it will energize those kids to come out.
One of the most watched races in the state will be the Senate race. On Tuesday, Democrat Ruben Gallego and Republican frontrunner Carrie Lake both said the ruling goes too far. Partner at Camelback Strategy Group John Seaton says he will be watching how all candidates, including in the Senate race, approach the election in this climate carefully.
You got to say what you feel. You got to say what's in your heart, but make sure that you're not solely talking about 1 or 2 issues.
And President Joe Biden also weighing in on the ruling today, calling it cruel and saying it's a result of an extreme agenda from Republicans. Yesterday, former President Donald Trump said that abortion issues should be left up to the states. For now, reporting in Phoenix, Zach Prelutsky for Arizona's Family.
Zach, thank you. Still so many questions surrounding this ruling and its future. Will state lawmakers repeal it? Will a court challenge maybe delay or block it? Our political editor, Dennis Welch, goes in depth with investigative reporters Morgan Lowe and Amy Cutler on a new Politics Unplugged podcast. It's posted tonight. You could find it wherever you get your podcasts or on our YouTube page.
The abortion ban is sure to be a focus of Vice President Kamala Harris's trip to Arizona that happens this week. She's going to be on Tucson on Friday. Her last visit in March was part of the administration's Fight for Reproductive Rights campaign. As we get more information on the details of her visit, we will, of course, keep you posted on our AZ Family News app. Still to come at 10, updates to 3 cases we've been following very closely, including the latest in an investigation of a California woman found dead in the Arizona desert. Our true crime correspondent, Brianna Whitney, breaking down a newly released timeline from law enforcement. And a Valley couple says they were turned away from the NC2A men's basketball championship game, while they say event staff refused to let them in because of their baby.
All right, looks like we're going to see 90 degrees in the next couple of days. We'll update your first alert forecast.